Hi everyone. Today we're just going to talk a little bit about spelling and capitalization. So this should be a review for you, but that doesn't make it any less important. So you might be thinking to yourself, does spelling really matter? I have autocorrect on my phone. I have Grammarly on my computer. I don't really need to know how to spell because I have a program that can just fix it for me. But in reality, that's not quite true all the time. So the short answer for this, does spelling and capitalization, does that actually matter? So the short answer for that, again, is yes, for three main reasons. The first one being communication. We spend our lives communicating with other people, even when we're trying to avoid communicating with other people. And a lot of that is done online, which gives us some tools that can help us. However, 62% of us communicate through social media at any given moment. So messing up some spelling, it can be a very small mistake and that can be negligible, but it could be something very lethal as well. So with something negligible, if you misspell someone's name, of course they might be a little offended, but it's nothing is really badly going to happen. But if you were a doctor someday in the future and you misspelled a prescription or misspelled a dose, somebody could pay the price for that mistake. Another one of these is unfortunately employment. So, job hunting is going online for the most part. It's very rare that you'll fill out paper applications. And so, the first impression that most employees are going to get with you is on your digital resume or on the digital application that you type in. So, where most people might be, forgiving with misspelling if it maybe was done in pen on hand, with these automated tracking systems and the way that they do this digitally now, it'll automatically scan for mistakes. And unfortunately, that can pop up on their page of like, this person's resume is full of mistakes. We don't really want to hire them here. And the third one is trustworthiness. Anybody who's gotten a spam call or a spam text, anything like that, you know that most often typos appear there, and we have a very low tolerance for typos. It makes us look like perhaps we're a bot, or that we don't know what we're doing. Think about the last time you saw an argument taking place on social media. If somebody misspells something, all of a sudden everyone else jumps in on them. So it is one of those things where spelling, it can definitely take more precedence than maybe we thought before, even though we have autocorrect. The first thing that we're going to talk about is pluralizing nouns. This is where the majority of spelling mistakes come from across all ages. So, pluralizing nouns is just taking one person, place, or thing and making it multiple and changing our sentence structure to match. For most nouns, all you're going to need to do is add s to the end. So this is simple. You can see on the left side of the screen here, we have singular nouns, meaning one, and then plural over here is their plural form. So apple becomes apples. All we're doing is adding an s. Bottle becomes bottles, chair becomes chairs, and flag becomes flags. And this is how it will be for most nouns. Sometimes things change, though, depending on how the words end. So if they end in S, X, Z, CH, or SH, they're going to follow a new rule. For these ones, you're going to need to add ES on the end, not just S, ES. Notice that S will never come after the letter X, so we'll get there in a second. So focus becomes focuses. That's the verb form of this, actually. Sometimes you can see this as foci, Foci. It means the same thing. Buzz becomes buzzes. Crush becomes crushes. Punch becomes punches. And sandbox becomes sandboxes. Notice that we wouldn't just add an S after. For words ending in O, most of the time, all you're going to do is add an ES, but not for all. I know this gets confusing, so that's why it's important to practice. So tomato becomes tomatoes with an ES, whereas photo just adds an S to the end. There is no ES for photos. Hairdo becomes hairdos, no ES. And echo becomes echoes, but it does have an ES. For most of these words, unfortunately, it does come down to practice and memorization to figure out which ones fit with the ES or just adding S, and that will come with time. For words ending in Y, you're going to drop the Y and add IES. So we've added S, we've added ES, now we're going to add IES. So for these words over here, notice they all end in Y. So like party becomes parties, IES. We take the Y, we get rid of it, and we add IES. Bunny becomes bunnies, pony becomes ponies, and cherry becomes cherries. This will be the same for everything that ends in Y in English. Take it off and add IES instead. For words ending in F or IFE, there's a couple different rules here. So if it just ends in F, like the word leaf here, you're going to drop the F and you're going to add VES. So the F sound becomes a V sound. So leaf becomes leaves, grief becomes grieves. Now, for words that end in IFE, you're going to change that F to a V and then add S. So this is a lot easier in practice, and you've been doing it for a while without even realizing. Taking knife and turning knife into knives, life into lives, okay? Or lives. Now, here's where we're going to talk a little bit about capitalization. Often, people forget to capitalize important letters, or they will boomer post and capitalize everything. And those look like shouting capitals, and so it's not really in good form to do that. Neither of these are ideal. So we're going to practice the proper way on how to capitalize. So here are some simple capitalization rules, and these are the ones that you can pretty much stick to. So the first person singular pronoun, I. So when you refer to yourself as I, you need to make sure it is capitalized. It is always a capital I when referring to yourself. The first letter of every sentence, always, this needs to be capitalized. The first, last, and important words in a title. So looking at this one here, so Midnight for Charlie Bone, this is a novel. Notice the different words that are capitalized, but for is not. So Charlie Bone is a name, so this is important. And then midnight is the very first word in it. So these are all important words except for the word for. That one is just a fanboy, just a conjunction here. So we don't really need that one. And then for proper nouns, this is where most people get tripped up. So I've gone ahead and I've gotten a little bit of a list here for you of what are proper nouns, because there are many things that are. So anytime where you're coming across somebody's specific name, like a person's name or a title, like Mayor Johnson or President Obama, okay, when you have something like that, or the Queen Elizabeth, you're going to have both of these things be capitalized, both their name and their title. Specific geographic locations. So if we were talking about Kansas City or Myrtle Beach, or a region like the Pacific Northwest or the Northeast, but not compass directions, not like we were walking north. That's not the same as saying northeast. Names of celestial bodies. So anything that's out in space that's named, like Jupiter, the Crab Nebula, the moon. Okay, things that have names, they will be capitalized. Titles of print and other media. So book titles, movies like Demon Slayer, the newest one, if you've seen it. Okay, so all of these, notice important words that are capitalized here. Days of the week, months, and holidays. All of them will be capitalized. Events from history. So the Korean War or World War II, anything like that, that is an event, you're going to capitalize it. Races, nationalities, and languages. So if we said Guatemalan, that needs to be capitalized. Religions and religious terms. So things like Christianity, Islam, hand fasting, Catholicism, anything that involves religion in that sense, you're going to capitalize it because it is a proper noun. And then last here is brand names. So McDonald's, Hobby Lobby, Sears, anything that has an actual like branding behind it, it will be a proper noun. So So here's where you're going to practice pluralizing. If you have access to the Pear Deck, you'll be able to draw on this slide. If you are in Buzz, you have your own version of this. Okay, so you're going to seek these singular forms, nouns over here, and you're going to look in the word bank over on the right side, and you are going to put the plural form here in this box. For those that are in Buzz, all you'll have to do is click and drag. For those with the Pear Deck, you will go ahead and put your text box here and just type it in. So you have tomato, plush, sock, stitch, kazoo, box, county, and thief. Notice there's a lot of options over here. So that means that some of these are not going to be correct into these boxes. So make sure you look carefully. On this page, we're going to practice capitalization. So here there are some capitalization mistakes. You are going to use your drawing tools, if you have the Pear Deck access, to be able to show me where things should be capitalized. So you can use your highlighting tool for that, or you can circle or underline. If you are in the Buzz program, then all you'll need to do is click on your version of this on your screen. So you'll click on the things that need to be capitalized. For this lesson, we have 4 examples here. Mrs. Griffin and I went swimming at the YMCA last weekend. On Wednesday, you and Mayana found postcards from Cancun on the kitchen counter. Tori and Quane have been caught hoarding packets of Chick-fil-A sauce during the shortage. And last week, Emma and I discussed how delicious Tres Leches cake is. So again, you'll just find the words that need to be capitalized and you will mark them in some way if you have the Pear Deck.